Vladimir Putin has just gone on television to explain the attacks that he ordered this morning. He said that the bridge attack, the bridge blowing up, was an act of terrorism by Ukraine, that his investigators has conducted their investigation and had concluded that this was in line with a lot of other terrorist attacks which have been made by Ukraine on civilian structures, including attacks on the city of Donetsk and on other Russian targets. He says that he will respond vigorously and that indeed this morning he had ordered an attack on Ukrainian infrastructure. He then went on to say that Ukrainians had been mounting terrorist attacks on nuclear power plants in Zaporizhia and also in a power plant in Russia itself, which had been foiled. He called this nuclear attacks. So he's clearly ramping up the rhetoric in the same way that in the past he talked about the discovery, never proven, never shown, of caches of illegal gas weapons, weapons of mass destruction that have been developed in Ukraine that we have never seen. That was very much expected to be a prelude to a Russian false flag attack or a Russian attack which is then blamed on Ukraine. So I think the Russian rhetoric is ramping up to blame a nuclear power plant explosion on Ukrainian terrorism. That's the sad reality of Putin's announcement this morning at 11 o'clock. We all need to be very, very vigilant and very aware of the direction of this madman's mind as far as we can judge it. He's doing his very best to give the impression that he is sane and that he is reasoned, but he is far from both. And he is desperate to claw back authority in his own country. Ukraine, for its part, has been very clear that it is now probably impossible to negotiate with a man who is so intent on their destruction and who has created a legal framework where negotiation is not possible. By Putin's land grab and ruling out the return of that land, which indeed he hasn't even got his hands on most of it, this makes any negotiation futile. Putin is the person who has drawn those red lines, not Zelensky, but the red lines have been drawn. This, I'm afraid, can only get worse. And at the same time in the UK, we have an introspective and self-obsessed government that has not really got its eye on the ball.